Hello everyone watching at home, you're with Adelaide Eternal and we're bringing you our monthly Highlander tournament this time. We rotate through each of the three formats, Vintage, Highlander and Legacy, bringing you some sweet Eternal coverage from our local scene. I am here with Beckett Wolfe.
G'day guys.
And I'm Sarven McLinton. So we have a matchup here between Dark Bant on the right and Junk, like a value Junk pod type deck
Super
on
pod.
the left. So who shall we look at first?
Let's look at Alan's.
Alright, so Alan is on the left. He is on... I would not say anything is stock standard when it comes to value and when it comes to Junk and pod, right?
Well, we were having a discussion about it earlier, and we were saying it's mid-range, but it's a little bit bigger than mid-range, and I think it sort of gobbles up mid-range decks. It looks like a lot. It's got those classic Grizzly Pride Mage, Scavenging Ooze, the Mana Dorks, and a Birthing Pod, but it goes a little bit bigger than that. It's got Karmic Guide, Revelark, Sun Titan at the top end, and even a Solemn Simulacrum, so it goes a little bit bigger than that. I guess, what did you call it before? Long range instead of mid-range.
Not mid-range, long range. Yeah. So he's opted to go for the Eldritch Evolution and these type of, as many of the, what do you call them? What's the natural order? As many of those kind of types of effects. So a Court of Calling.
Recurring Nightmare is another sweet, spicy card. I really like that. A tiny bit slow, but like when you've locked your opponent out with a Fulminator Mage or something, you can just sort of keep recurring it. And yeah, you can have a bit of a recurring nightmare for your opponents. And that's a really cool card. Seen it in old school Flash Pod lists. Flash Hulk lists.
Speaking of Skull Clamp lists, this is actually technically a Skull Clamp mirror, right? So Luke Jeffrey is on the right, and he's running Dark Bant.
Yeah, I think I've played this exact list in Melbourne last year. The guys in Melbourne were on this.
I think they were on it for quite a while.
And it's essentially like your classic Junk mid-range, but it splashes blue for, your days and your...
evasive action.
Yeah, evasive action is a sweet one.
Miscalculation. Like all of those kind of
True Name as well. Like when you're able to go Noble Hierarch turn 1 into turn 2 True Name, and then swing for Exalted turn 3 with a True Name, it's a pretty real threat.
And I really like how Spell Queller fits in the deck as well as Vendilion Click, because, having those flash dooders and then being able to present equipment on them as well is really, really interactive and nice.
Definitely. I'm really keen to see how this game goes down.
All right. It's a titanium mirror, right? Let's have a look. So they've just cut their decks now, and Alan's rolling 2 dice. Nothing complicated here. Yeah, Alan be on the play then. So knowing that Junk is on the play, who do you think is favoured here?
I think a lot of it goes down to who gets that dork.
Yep.
If you hit your dork, the problem is it's not really worth mulling to hit a dork if you've got a decent hand. But do you think it's worth mulling? Like it almost is. I wouldn't, but it feels really bad.
Every time I've played Junk in the past, and I'm a big proponent of the Junk. The games where I have turn 1 mana dork versus the games where I don't are so dramatically different, and because of that I end up running about 8 dorks, like 7 dorks and Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor or something like that.
Yeah, you can't always hit it. I think it's going to be really important, especially for Luke, because
speaking of bit important, Luke's mulling to 5, which is really, really not a good spot to be in. It's obviously nothing you have really much of a choice over, especially given if it was a no-lander.
Yeah.
But when you're in the value battle, it's pretty bad. But there is one way you can get out of this, which is you mull to 5 with a hand that generates value. And because you're on the draw, you're drawing a card as well. You'll find a way to be able to, because the game goes longer, given it's a mid-range Skull Clamp deck, you can find a way to get back that value.
Oh, for sure. And I think there's heaps of recurring values, like either you stick a threat, like True Name, and they just can't answer it, or you just get some kind of recurring value, like a Birthing Pod or a Skull Clamp.
Well, speaking of that, he's got Skull Clamp in hand,
nice.
So I can see this actually... Oh, Dryad Arbor doesn't have mana, but... yeah, that's all right.
So now he's just hoping there's no, turn to Diabolic Edict or something here.
Yeah, at least he doesn't have to fear Electrolyze and those kind of things when you get your Dork and your Dryad Arbor hit by Electrolyze feels bad, but he doesn't have to worry about that here. Stoneforge Mystic grabbing Batterskull in the early game.
One of the better turn 2s.
Yes, yeah, there's a strong point there. However, the fetching Batterskull here is, Alan obviously has the game plan of you've mulled to 5. The chance of you having an answer to kill my Stoneforge Mystic here and delay the Batterskull for 3 or more turns is pretty low. So it's a perfectly fine chance to roll. But if your opponent's on 7, there's times here where you just get clamp and don't play the clamp until a little bit later, and then clamp out once you've got a couple of dudes.
It almost feels like Jitty. I don't want to say Alan's wrong here, but I feel like Jitty's almost in between because Jitty generates value and it also presents a threat.
Yep.
So
Jitter is really good when you opened on a turn 1 mana dork, but here it's not quite as good because he's only got one possible threat.
That's right.
But I can see what you mean, and he has the
he
has the sword. So this is actually going to be a game now, as
if we
opposed
see
to
a dork here, we might be able to see a bit of leverage where he can get Elspeth out next turn or land a big threat.
Yep, I'm sure that there's a Skull Clamp.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm sure that Alan is now wishing that he got Skull Clamp because that Batterskull is going to sit in hand for minimum 3 turns, minimum. But we'll see how it pans out. I mean, there's always the risk. You never in this kind of matchup, you never play your. Oh, is that a Cradle?
That's a Guy's Cradle.
Wow,
yeah.
this is going to be a big next turn. Really big next turn.
It's going to be massive because he's got the Fauna Shaman now. So
yeah, well, that's really going to seal the deal now if he's going to be able to untap with Cradle mana and be able to find exactly what he needs, like Titania.
I feel like Fauna Shaman's a really good example of where Alan's list just goes a bit longer than a classic mid range. Like Fauna Shaman doesn't generate value; it doesn't have an ETB or anything, but it just gives you perfect card choice. And of course, in the late game, ensures that you can just hit those big spells that you want to hit.
And it's a really good way to force blue mages to not just hold up mana.
Yeah.
Because you've got a threat now that just generates
cheap.
value.
It's very cheap. But where a normal junk mid range deck might run something like Blade Splicer instead, just for get that damage, get that value. But he's just electing to bash. That tells me either he's got the perfect creature in hand or he doesn't have any creatures to pitch.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
got a
the
creature to pitch,
Sphinx comes out and the Cradle taps for 3. And the 3 is the Eldritch Evolution. Wow. Strong. Unfortunately, Dark Bant doesn't play things like, Toxic Deluge and stuff in the main deck. So it's going to be a real... Alan is so far ahead.
Oh, he's got Acidic Slime. Wow.
Yeah,
so
that's really rough after the clamping of the Dryad Arbor. In the sideboard, these are the kind of cards that you expect to be really, really good in this matchup, like Zealous Persecution and Grip of Phyresis. But this is a main deck, so the number of outs that Luke has very few and far between.
I noticed Acidic Slime can hit Artifact, Enchantment, or land, and he could have hit the clamp there, but he elected to hit the land.
Yeah, I think it's totally correct.
I think it's fine
in this situation.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you're against a 4-color deck as well, and
they're on 15, and next turn you're swinging for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 3-turn clock if he does nothing else, and those 3 turns are a while when your opponent's going to miss land drops.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Luke could just tell. I think I even saw a blue spell in his hand. So, I think that might be evasive action.
Evasive action, yeah.
Which is not what you want here.
When the board is already committed. In the main deck, what does he have to get back into this game?
The problem
very
is...
little. It's Stoneforge Mystic, right?
He's down on value and he's down on tempo.
Tempo, yeah.
Clamp is amazing, but Clamp's surprisingly bad at tempo because you find yourself constantly trying to kill your own dudes, But
True Name Nemesis would be an answer here.
True Name Nemesis would hold it off.
Yeah.
Maybe into a Siege Rhino. Gain a bit of life and I think consolidate your board.
If you curve out to True Name Nemesis next turn and Siege Rhino the turn after, it's a real stabilization there. But obviously the hitting with the Acidic Slime hitting the land was really, really going to slow.
Plus we're seeing Fauna Shaman here get Sun Titan. That's
Pitch Knight, grab Sun Titan. Wow.
And then play Sun Titan
Play
and
Sun
get Knight.
Wow.
Yeah, seems good.
Seems very strong. That Guy's Cradle is just working overtime. And to my understanding, Guy's Cradle is 0 points. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's one of the... the thing is, with 7 point, it's not always about the power level of the card. It's about the power level of the deck. Mm-hmm. So even though Guy's Cradle, I would say, is probably like 1 point. As a card, it's worth a point. The decks that it's used in aren't broken or busted at this stage. They don't deserve a point.
After the pointing of the Moxen, that you mean?
Yeah. Because Elves was obviously running it, and it's very strong in Elves, but Elves just got Mox Emerald pushed up to 3, so... but it's obviously strong enough to be a point, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely based on the meta, really. And as you can see, he's just played Gavany Township, and the hits keep coming, because with an army of 4 dudes, is it lethal next turn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Surely.
8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's exactly lethal next turn with activating the Township. So it's really fetch land, crack, play, True Name Nemesis, hope. Hope and pray.
I think even True Name doesn't get it out because you bash through the True Name and lose a creature and then bash through again.
Yeah, it would literally need to be cast True Name, then cast Siege Rhino, and barely stay alive.
And there was no True Name there. I think there's a Sword of Fire Ice in his hand. So that is most likely going to be game 2.
Yeah. I mean, flashing in an Aven Mind Sensor doesn't really get there. I mean, you lose 1 life off your fetch land, chump block. It feels bad, right? It feels terrible. Yep, there it is. And here we go. So cracking the fetch, maybe he's going to make a chump blocker. We'll see how that pans out. Obviously, there's no situation where Fauna Shaman gets activated when you got lethal on the board. So no cheeky little...
No, that's right. He doesn't need the extra value. He's
just got lethal. Just attack with everything. And there's a shock land. So what is this? Let's see. Spell Queller to chump block, maybe?
Spell Queller to chump block still just doesn't do it.
I know, yeah.
They're 3/3s, right?
Oh, no, removal spell. So maybe there's a path. Path to exile, maybe. Let's see. So path the Kitchen Finks take more than 7. Right?
Exactly 7. Yeah, that's game 2. So I guess sideboards. So.
Yeah, well, the sideboard makes this matchup really, really interesting. And you and I have played a lot of Junk Mirrors, right? For
plenty.
Probably like 2 solid years of Junk Mirrors. And in the Junk Mirror, there's so many absolutely fantastic value cards that you can use to get keep clawing your value back. But there are also a lot of good Mirror Breaker cards, and one of those Mirror Breaker cards is Orzhov Pontiff and Zealous Persecution.
Yeah, I really like it. Zealous is fantastic, especially I think. I mean, Orzhov's great because you can search it up, fetch it up, pot into it, etc. It's a bit easy to get, but Zealous obviously the instant speed. The thing is, it doesn't just kill dorks. It doesn't just kill 1 toughness guys when it feels like old school Magic, where you play some combat trick and you win the trade. It's almost like that. Like if you're swinging, there's so many creatures on board. Yeah. If he's swinging 4 creatures and you've got 3 blockers and you go Zealous Persecution, it just totally changes whatever maths the player was had in their head when they swung, and it turns a 4/3 into a 3/2, and it just gives you a totally positive trade, and it can wipe a board, really. It can wipe a board, and it can pump easily your guys and swing lethal.
For us, I know that every time we'd play the Mirror post sideboard, it was constantly us playing around Zealous Persecution.
Yeah, definitely. Not wanting to get blown out by it, basically.
So they've drawn their 7, and they're keeping both 7, so that's good. Luke's on the play. And he's obviously fetching turn 1, so this is probably going to be a Dork. Turn 1 Dork strong.
It's good. That's where we want to be. Assuming we're going for Luke.
Yeah, well, I always go for whoever's down a game, I'll go for them because I want to see more Highlander, see more matches, more games. So one thing to note in terms of blue, here's a Findhorn Elves. One thing to note in terms of blue, the addition of blue to Junk also gives you really good sideboard tech in Grip of Phyresis. It's a really good Mirror Breaker card. Speaking of Mirror Breaking.
Yeah. because I don't know if you want to run Nalrod. Nalrod's probably mainly there for those Blood Moon.
Well, you also run Equips yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's mainly there for those the Blood Moon artifact decks.
And
but
Storm.
yes.
But another one that he has in there is Painful Truths. So here comes Khazali Pride Mage. And is that a Khazali Bash for 2 with the Fintorn Elves Exalted?
I don't think it is. Is it? Oh, it is. He's going for it. Probably will be Bash
I think
3
there's
next turn.
there's a fetch land in the graveyard, so he might have attacked first. I'm not sure. There's times where you do that kind of thing intentionally just to see what your opponent does, but now's not one of those times because they're never going to block with Noble Hierarch.
No, that's true. Interestingly enough, the sideboards are a bit different, but Alan also has his own Orzhov Pontiff, and I imagine that would be coming in.
Yeah, he doesn't run Zealous Persecution.
And Flashback Marauder there seems a bit awkward to drop a 3-drop
It never
with
feels
a 1/1.
good. Yeah, it never feels good. But you do what you can.
Well,
yeah.
it's almost like a Wasteland, right? Like it's
I
just
agree.
3 mana, kill your dork.
And the Fleshbag Marauder has diminishing returns.
Do you think
the longer you hold it.
it's stronger to hold the Pride Mage though? I mean, Pride Mage is obviously amazing if you're scared of Alan's artifacts, but if Luke had a 4-drop there, you'd be keeping the dork and just being like, okay, you go Fleshbag, I'm gonna just tap out, play Sidrono, tap out, play Elspeth.
Yeah, it all depends on how his hand lines up. So we'll see how the hand plays out.
Because he could even have an aggro hand here, and that's why he's kept Pride Mage.
Yep, and that's one piece of aggro right there.
It's pretty good.
So although he takes an entire turn off in order to play the sword, the following turn the payoff is huge if he can connect. And what he does is he forces a chump block from Alan just so that the sword doesn't trigger.
It might not be worth putting all your eggs in one basket, because if he equips next turn, it can almost switch off 2 turns of Luke if Alan has the removal spell for Khazali. But at the same time, it turns any creature that Luke plays into a threat.
Yeah.
That's got to be Rex Sage, right?
Well, yep. If you are going X's 3, I mean, I'm all in on Rex Sage. Yeah, there it is. That is definitely a choice. Good choice. Because essentially, it doesn't look that great on paper, but when you realise the amount of tempo that you've stolen from your opponent...
That's exactly right. We were just saying it took an entire turn, so it was 3 mana for the sword, 3 mana for Alan, but Alan ends up with a 2/1, which doesn't sound like a lot, but geez, when you're running equipments, when you're running birthing pods, when you're running skull clamps, or when you just want to start bashing, just a cheeky bad body makes such a big difference. So
this 4 mana open is obviously the old, hey, I've got Restoration Angel. So do you expect Alan not to attack here?
Could be Spellkiller as well. I think I'd swing into it. I'd ask the question. Happy with a resto for no value?
Well, technically value, since you eat.
You do eat the Rex Sage, that's true. But as in, I think
half a card.
I think I'd ask the question. I don't want to be scared of resto all day. Mind you, he's got click as well, although he doesn't have the blue for click.
Yeah.
Wood Elves. Wood Elves is really interesting.
Well, I guess because Alan's really all in on this whole pod Eldritch Evolution type, sacrificing and searching type of deck. So
it feels good to go like Wood Elves, search for a land that comes in untapped, and then like use that mana to equip Clamp to the Wood Elves or something.
So he gets an Overgrown Tomb here. So going down to 9.
Does he think he needed the
double black?
The double black?
So maybe he just feels like he's stabilized.
Could have murderous red cap in hand.
I'm in that situation. I'm totally afraid of my opponent flashing in resto end of turn,
and then
bashing for 4.
Yeah.
So in the air. So like I really don't know about that getting that shock land. But it's possible that he's got something in hand. So Jute is really, really good here.
And he's tapped an extra one.
And he's going to equip as well.
I know he is. He's equipping. Yeah. So swinging for 3.
Swing for 3, 2 counters, kill Noble Hierarch, kill the 2/1, or just kill Fauna Shaman. Yeah, just probably kill just Fauna Shaman, right? Since that's the biggest threat. That's the scariest thing on the board, right?
Yeah, Jitty, really, really, really good draw here for Luke.
Yeah.
He's got some decisions to make.
Yep. So this is great. It's the old chump block,
Jeez,
Get
I'd almost
2
trade
counters.
if I was Alan. I don't know how much you want the
No,
Fauna...
you know that's going to hit your Fauna Shaman anyway.
Fauna Shaman's going to die, so you kill the Pride Mage. You go, okay, I'm going to have a really bad turn. Jitty's going to be able to kill my other 2 guys. My board will be clear, but at least Luke won't have any creatures to continue going with this. I mean, look at the board state now. The board state would be exactly the same, except Fauna Shaman would be dead and Kozali would be dead. So essentially, Alan is saying my Fauna Shaman
is important,
and it's better than your next Jitty swing.
Yeah, which is why I would kill the Fauna Shaman with the 2 counters, because it's the thing that he values the most.
Exactly.
So here comes
it is red cap, so that's why he needed the double black.
Yep. Totally makes sense now.
And I think that's totally fair not to block, because he knew he could kill the creature anyway. So well played by Alan.
Yep, totally agree. That all resolved nicely.
And yeah, look, I don't think it was bad from Luke. In hindsight, if Luke had put himself in Alan's position, mind state, and realised why is he protecting the Fauna Shaman, because you think, well, for Luke, it's always correct to swing with Jitty.
Yeah.
But for Alan, you know, he's thinking, oh, do I block and trade, rah, rah, rah. Luke's got to put himself in the mindset of Alan and realise, okay, he really respects this Fauna Shaman.
And respects not taking 3 damage. By blocking with Wood Elves.
So I've got to kill it.
Now the issue here is, of course, that Luke has flooded out massively here. He's on 6 lands. He has 1 more land in hand, and in reality, this whole game, he's put he's put Alan to 9, which is actually 8 because there was a missed Exalted trigger. He's put him down this far, all off one Kozali Pride Mage and 1 Mana Dork. So he's actually not drawn any other dudes, and this is really rough.
He only needs 1 more dude.
Yeah.
Any dude that can be a guy for Pride Mage, for Jitty, and Fauna Shaman doing a bit of work there, discarding a really useless Fulminator Mage to get... It looked like Phyrexian Metamorph.
Phyrexian Metamorph really stabilises Alan here, because he gets to make a Jitter, equip the Jitter, attack, and get to gain some life, and he's no longer going to be on such a low life total.
I think that's better. I was thinking he wanted it so that he could copy...
Have an extra red cap and then kill it. Yeah, I know
to stop Luke from continually playing creatures to equip to Jitty, but I think that's better, having your own Jit.
The way to go.
Oh, so, that's a shame.
Yep.
I'm wondering if he had it in hand last time and he was just wanted to get the value off it, but...
Yeah, sometimes the fake is real. But yeah, if he did have it in hand, he would have flashed it in end of turn and then bashed for Exalted for 4 in the air. So
it's actually not a great block here. I think you're fine to block, but I'd almost not and just equip my own Jitty, because now...
Just don't block.
Red cap comes back in, pings 1 on Resto. So Resto's already taken 3 damage, and then 1 little ping from Jitty and your Resto's dead. But if you don't block, you just go, okay, I'm winning the race because
I'm in the air.
I've got more life.
I'm in the air and my guy's got a Jitter too.
That's it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just don't block. Don't try and go for value. You go for tempo. Sometimes you just got to identify exactly what your role is in the match. I don't even think
it's that good of value anyway, because if he equips the Jitty, in this case, there's not that much value because Red Cap's just going to equip the Jitty next turn.
Yeah, or you just kill Fauna Shaman, Fauna Shaman activated. No, Fauna Shaman attacked, right?
No, Fauna Shaman activated to get the... Oh, did he?
No, he attacked.
He must have attacked. Yeah, he must have.
So, I just prefer either kill Fauna Shaman. That way your Resto doesn't die. But here's the more land flood. So, there's last card in hand is an Arid Meso or something. I don't know. It's a massive flood issue at the moment. He's on 7 lands, and for Alan, one of those lands is off the Wood Elves. So, it's about a 3 land swing. And you can see it's three relevant creatures on the board. This is how important it is in mid-range to ensure you're always applying pressure and having duders. It's the only way you win is with dudes, right?
Mm.
And unfortunately, it's not panning out for Luke. It was looking very, very good for a while there, but I think the game has well and truly turned.
And this is like what I was saying before, where you just need one idiot. Doesn't really matter what he is, but you see just a 1/1 there is just able to equip to Jitty and get counters on Jitty.
Yeah.
And puts a lot of pressure on, and it's just a 1/1 idiot, isn't it?
Yep. Well, speaking of 1/1s, here comes a dude.
It's not going to be good enough, though.
No. The Jitter counters basically make it terrible, but at end of turn he cycles out Scavenging Ooze, and what do you get here?
Something big. What do you got? 6 mana Sun Titan or something?
I mean, I just get Skin Render or something, And just kill their blocker and then attack the lethal, right?
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it's lethal. If you just get like a removal guy, like Skin Render. Not that I don't know if he has Skin Render, but you know what I mean. Like you search a dude that gets rid of your dude without spending the jitter counters.
He's surely running the combo, right? Like Melira carrying feeder, right?
If you're running these dudes, then like if you're running Murderous Redcap when you don't have to, then you're definitely running a combo, right?
Well, anyway, I guess it's going to be Ping and Pump here from Ping and Pump from the old Jit.
We're looking over the deck list, and he's got a lot of search, in the form of the Fauna Shaman and so on. But I'm not actually seeing the combo of which you speak.
Is he just playing Redcap because it's just like a
guy, a removal guy,
good pod guy that like doesn't, because he's got Persist obviously, so he can spot remove like a 2/2.
So do you want to know? So this is what I would have done with at the end of turn, crack Fauna Shaman. You activate Fauna Shaman to find was of Pontiff. And the following turn, just Pontiff, and you have lethal because you either pump your team, or you minus his Llanowar elves.
I'd say you pump your team and ping the Llanowar elves with the Jit.
Yep.
Recurring Nightmare. So he doesn't need this value. Look, I'm not saying Alan's playing badly here.
No, he's just spoiled for choice because he's just got so exactly much value. Yeah, it's just name of the game is value and its population.
Yeah.
Alan, Carey, Value Town.
Sacking. So he's just sacking the Kitchen Finks to Recurring Nightmare, and
just do the red cat your face. Well, that was a real mid-range grinder. It didn't really pan out exactly how we thought, but actually in reality, it's the turn 1 mana dork. No, actually, no one got turn 1 mana dork except for Luke. It didn't.
Luke
work.
got turn.
It worked completely the opposite of what we expected.
We were wrong. Don't play mana dorks.
Thanks for watching, guys. Join us in round 2 for some more Highlander action.
See you then.